tous. Aujourd'hui, on est dimanche, je pense, oui, dimanche 25 mai. Today we are the 25th of May, ce qui veut dire, which means that we are deep in exam season. I've been super rubbish at uploading any videos this year. Je suis désolée, hein? I'm really sorry. I've just been very, very busy with my tutoring clients, and I've been doing some supply work as well. However, we still have the writing exam to go after half term. So for all you last minute revisers, and that was always me as well, as a student, I am here to save the day, or to try and help you at least. So today we are going to be looking at the photo description question for the Edexcel GCSE French Foundation writing paper. So there's no point watching this video if you aren't doing the Edexcel GCSE French, unless, of course, you want to learn how to describe a photo, in which case carry on. And higher students as well, this isn't necessary for you. So please make sure that this video is relevant for you, and we will crack on. So why is this question important? Why put effort into revising this? Well, if you struggle to get more than 50% on the extended writing and translation questions, so if you know that writing is a weakness for you, and you struggle with those essay questions, and that's the hardest bit of the French exam for you, then the photo task, which is always the first question on the foundation writing paper for Edexcel, is worth 20% of the whole paper. Okay, and I think after revising sufficiently, following this video, doing a bit of your own personal independent work, you can probably complete this question in 5 minutes in the exam. So if it's worth 20% of the exam and you can do it in 5 minutes, that then frees you up to focus on the areas that you struggle more with, and to ensure your accuracy and sufficient detail on those essay questions. So tactically speaking, if we have a look here at this student, if they're getting 8 out of 16 on the 40 to 50 word task, 10 out of 20 on the 80 to 90 word task, 6 out of 12 on the translation. So, typically these are students who might struggle with tenses and things like that. If you get full marks, which is easy to do because I'm going to show you how to do it, if you get full marks on the photo card task, then you can still get 60% overall, which I would say is like a kind of a grade 4 really, if not a grade 5. But obviously, if we're only spending 5 minutes on it, it also means that you might be able to bump up those extended writing answers as well. So without further ado, let's keep going. So here is the assessment criteria for the photo card or photo description question. It's out of 12 marks, okay? And you get 1 mark out of 6 for communication and content, which we can see on the left-hand side of the page, on the slide, sorry. And on the right-hand side, you will see the mark out of 6 for linguistic knowledge and accuracy. Now, we're only going to look at that top band because that's what we're aiming for. So if we go to the communication and content mark grid and have a look, it says relevant information with occasional extra detail, okay? So obviously, it has to be relevant to the question. I'm going to show you how to do that by giving you recyclable language you can use to describe whatever photo comes up. You also need to use language to give short descriptions, simple information, and opinions with some success. So even if you're making a few mistakes or a couple of mistakes, you can still get in that top band. And then the third bullet point there says use a small selection of common familiar vocab. So here it's okay to be saying things like c'est amusant, j'adore, all of those phrases that your teacher's like, oh, that's a boring phrase. It's okay to use that here. Just use kind of whatever first comes to your head, because you're not going to get marked for a variety of vocabulary, really. However, try not to repeat. Okay, it does say here little repetition. So you would get penalised if you started repeating the same word over and over again. So if we have a look on the right-hand side and we have a look at that top band 5 to 6, it says produces simple sentences with some linking. So to get top marks, you can just produce really simple sentences. And so that is what I would do. There's no point trying to go and be above and beyond to impress, because you can get 6 out of 6 with just simple sentences, okay? And then you're spending less time on it as well. which frees you up for where you do have to go into more detail on your extended writing questions. And some linking as well. So rather than just saying, sur la photo, il y a un chien. On the photo, there is a dog. Sur la photo, il y a un vélo. On the photo, there is a bike. You know, we need to link those together. Sur la photo, il y a un chien et, using a connective and, un vélo, and a bike. Not that that's likely, because normally there are people on the pictures. Well, there's always people on the pictures rather than animals. So if we have a look at the second bullet point there in the 5 to 6 band, it says accurate application of a small selection of straightforward grammatical structures. Again, to get 6 out of 6, you can keep it straightforward and simple. What are straightforward grammatical structures? Well, I've put that below. So straightforward grammatical structures are considered to be repetitive, simple word order, short, simple sentences that use a repetitive range of common high-frequency structures. So, you know, c'est amusant, for example, j'adore, simple ideas, opinions and thoughts that are expressed but are not justified. So you do not have to give a reason for opinions. I suggest you do, so that you can give that little bit of extra detail, which you will see on the 5 to 6 band for communication and content over the other side. It does say that there is occasional extra detail. So I think you could get that in quite easily by justifying an opinion. Refers successfully to present events. Now, that's something that's important, use of the present tense, and for it to be as accurate as possible. And we'll go through that today. And occasional errors occur that hinder clarity of communication. So, you know, you're still allowed to make small errors, such as if you get the gender wrong, that would have no impact really, like le or la. But it does give us a little outline of what constitutes errors hindering clarity below in yellow. So it says errors that make writing difficult to understand immediately, errors that force readers to reread in order to understand what is meant, for example, inappropriate tense formation. And then the second bullet point, frequent errors hinder clarity as they will distract the reader from the content of the writing. So, but, you know, to get 6 out of 6, you're still allowed to make 1 or 2 errors. So, you know, if you don't get something completely right, as long as the examiner can then maybe understand that on the second reading, you know, you'll still get credit for that. But we're going to try and minimize them by revising. So let's have a little look then at an example. Okay, so here is an example of a card that was on the 2023 paper. And it says, écris une description de la photo et exprime ton opinion sur le babysitting. So the question will always ask you to write a description of the photograph and express your opinion on babysitting. I would avoid doing bullet point answers, okay, because you're not going to be linking sentences. And we want to try and link our sentences, but there's only 20 to 30 words. Right, that's probably like most people write an average of maybe 10 words per line in an exercise book. So really, it's only about 3 lines of an exercise book. So it's really quite short. So I am going to show you what I would include. So your teacher might have taught you this acronym, PALM, like the palm of your hand, PALM. And then I also add O for an opinion, because you're always going to be asked to add an opinion on whatever the topic is as well. And then I've also added as a reminder there to add links. I've circled that, and extra detail. I've done a cute little underline with a heart to represent that, because that was in the criteria of things to include to get those top marks. So here is what I have written. Sur la photo, il y a une ado et une petite fille. So we're always going to start with sur la photo il y a. You need to know that by like the back of your hand. Sur la photo il y a. Sur la photo il y a. Sur la photo il y a. On the photo there is. You can literally get into the exam, scribble that straight down because it's at the top of your head. You've been going over it so many times. So sur la photo il y a une ado et une petite fille. On the photo there is a teenager and a little girl. So I've described people there. So that's why I've highlighted it in pink. Qui, and I'm connecting sentences now. So instead of saying on the photo there is a teenager and a little girl, full stop, they are playing, I've joined that together by saying who play. Now in French, so qui joue means who play. There is no way in French of saying who are playing. We're not going to try and say that, okay? That's really important, because remember in the criteria it says to for the top band, you need to show that you can use present tense accurately. So instead of saying who are playing, just remember it's who play. We have to add an ENT on the end of the verb here, jouer. So joue with an ENT ending because there's more than one person. So we're saying they play. And that they is signified by the ENT at the end of the verb. But we'll see more examples of that in a bit. So then I've added an opinion phrase, je pense que, and that's a way of getting an extra little opinion in there because on the mark scheme it did say opinions. I'm sure it would be fine if you just included one, but I just thought to tick the examiner's boxes might be a good idea. Je pense qu'elles sont à la maison. I think that they are at the house. So again, that is part of PALM. It is our location. So far we've looked at people, action, and location. Pink, yellow, and grey. Let's keep going. Elles semblent contentes. That is our mood. They seem happy. Noticing they is elles with an S on the end because there are just girls on the photo. That would change to il with an S on the end if there were just boys in the photo or a mixed group, or if you couldn't tell. If you can't tell, if in doubt, go for il, S. Bit sexist, but yeah, that's what we have to do. So, semble ends in ENT again for they seem, because just like with joue, we're referring to more than one person. So it's plural, so we add an ENT on the end of that verb. And then content, happy, is our adjective. I would really learn that one, content, because on most photos, to be honest, the people are happy. And even if they're not, you could say, I think they seem happy. Yeah, just learn that one. I've added an ES on the end of content because, again, we need to make the adjective agree to the fact that there are multiple people, plural, but that they are also girls. And then we're going to add our opinion. So it says we have to exprime ton opinion sur le babysitting in the question, which means express your opinion on babysitting. Keep it really, really simple, guys. Just say, and I've put moi here, you don't have to, but that just clarifies, me, in my opinion, moi. But you don't need to include that. J'adore le babysitting. Just say j'adore, whatever it is, even if it's les devoirs, homework. Just say j'adore les devoirs, okay? And then it reduces your cognitive load. J'adore le babysitting. Literally copied that from the question. I've not tried to say to do babysitting. I've kept it simple, copied from the question. I love babysitting. And then I'm going to give a reason. I know it says you don't have to justify your opinions, but it might be a good bit of extra detail. Parce que I like. Because, j'aime les enfants, I like children. And again, I'm giving a third opinion there within an opinion justification. So, sur la photo, il y a une ado et une petite fille qui jouent. Je pense qu'elles sont à la maison. Elles semblent contentes. Moi, j'adore le babysitting parce que j'aime les enfants. On the photo, there is a teenager and a little girl who are playing. I think that they are at the house. They seem happy. Me, I love babysitting because I like children. Now, some of you will feel quite comfortable with this vocab and think, oh, okay, I know the vocab. Your teacher will be able to put that together. However, I am aware that there will be others amongst you who French isn't really your thing, or you've been absent, or you joined a school and you've done Spanish year 7 to 10, and all of a sudden you find yourself doing French. You might lack this vocab, okay? So on the next slide, I'm going to show you the resource that I've made to help you construct these PALM phrases. So here we go. Take a photograph of this because I'm not going to stay on it for long. It's a little bit blurry, unfortunately, but this is a resource that you can use in order to help you with the PALM, not the O bit, but I'm sure you can do that bit more easily, of the photo card question. It's all in French, so if you don't know the English, that's the first task, okay? Take a picture of this, go away, make sure you know what all of these mean in English, okay, and learn them. So if you would like, take a photograph of this now, and then when we get on to practicing your own photo card descriptions, you can use this if you'd like. But eventually I want you to get to the point where you're not using it because you won't have it in the exam. Okay. So I am now going to show you how I completed, sorry, I'm getting all distracted by the video. I'm quite impressed with my technology skills here, but I'm going to show you how I came up with a description for this example. So I've started off by doing planning, which you can always do, and then make sure you cross it out. So I've put parmo down there. I've written singular or plural to remind me that my endings of words will change depending on whether it's singular or plural. In this case, it's plural. So I'll shut up now and let you watch. So I've written there on the photo, there are 2 women and 2 men. Who, qui, that's a link. Now I'm going to do the action, and it's a plural action. So I'm going to use mange, eat, but I need to add an ENT because there's more than one person. Full stop. Now for location, I'm going to introduce that with je pense que, I think that. Now you might say, I thought que was Q-U-E. Yes, it normally is. However, because our next word is going to start with I, il, because it's they and it's a mixed group, we have to join the que and the il together by getting rid of the e, putting an apostrophe and making it one word. So I've put there, ils sont au restaurant, they are at the restaurant. Again, il, because it's a mixed group and plural. And because it's plural again on seem, semble, I'm going to have to add an ENT on the end, which I've just done. They seem happy. Again, mixed, plural, so we add an S on the end of content. If it was female plural, we'd add an ES. So now just for the opinion. So I've written j'adore les restaurants. I love restaurants. Again, just writing j'adore and copying from the question les restaurants. Now parce que, giving a reason, just for that extra bit of detail. Easy reason, j'aime manger. I like to eat. Et voilà. Okay. Let's have a look at the next one. This time, écris une description de la photo, exprime ton opinion sur les vacances. This time I was clever and turned my phone camera around, impressed with myself for that one. But I'm going to do the same thing here. So if you watch, you could always do it along with me if you want to. It's a group of girls here, so I'm reminding myself that I will have to put ENT on the end of the verb when I'm giving the action. I will also have to refer to them as elles for they, and any adjectives to describe their mood is going to have to be an ES on the end, feminine plural. So sur la photo il y a, sur la photo il y a, okay, 4 filles, 4 girls. Qui, there we go, I almost forgot the link there, qui, who. So I'm not going to put are taking a photo, I'm going to put take a photo. Now this is a horrible verb really. You won't have to use this verb prendre much, but there are quite a few photographs where they're taking a selfie on it. So I've added that as an extra in red to the vocab sheet I shared earlier. It's just one that you need to learn off by heart. They take a photo. It's irregular. It doesn't follow a pattern. So for the location, I've said, je pense qu'elles sont en vacances. I think they're on holiday. That would have been fine, but I gave more details saying à Paris. And I'm just writing there, if you don't know how to say Eiffel Tower in French, please don't attempt to say it, okay? Saying in Paris is enough, because if you say Eiffel Tower in English, it's just going to look rubbish. So don't do that. Je pense qu'elles sont en vacances à Paris. It's another thing, like on the first photo I showed you, they were playing with like Lego or something. You're not going to know how to say tower blocks or whatever in French. So don't say it, just say they are playing. Just get rid of any bits you don't know how to say. They seem happy, content. I've added an ES because they're girls. And then I'm giving my opinion. J'adore les vacances parce que j'aime voyager. I love holidays because I like to travel. Please, I've lost my words. Please don't mind my handwriting, because I was trying to hold the phone with my left hand and write with my right, and I don't have the best of handwriting at the best of times anyway. So let's continue. So this time I would like you to do your own example. So I've put some reminders on here to help you. And if you press pause and write a description for this photograph and your opinion on school, and then when you press play, I will go through a example that I've written, and we can see how similar ours are. Okay, press pause. Right, so hopefully you've had some time to give that a go. I will show you what I wrote. Obviously, if yours isn't exactly the same, that's fine. They're not going to be exactly the same. Here we go. I wrote, sur la photo, il y a 7 élèves. On the photo, there are 7 students qui travaillent. I could have said beaucoup d'élèves, right? A lot of students if I'd wanted to as well. If I couldn't remember the word for students, élèves, I could have said garçons, filles, boys, girls, ados, teenagers, okay, qui travaillent. So who work, and then I've had to add an ENT on the end of travail because there's more than one of them. Je pense qu'ils sont au collège. I think that they are at school. Il semble intéressé. I could have said content here and just kept it easy, couldn't I? But yeah, I thought intéressé was on our list, the vocab list that I sent you and that I showed you earlier, and that is probably more relevant here. Moi, le collège parce que c'est important, mais qu'est-ce que je suis bête. I'm silly. I meant to put, moi, j'adore le collège parce que c'est important, okay? Me, I love school because it's important. Again, important, good adjective to use, fits in most places. Right, let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so écris une description de la photo et exprime ton opinion sur les amis. Explain your opinion on friends. Now, when I looked at this, I was like, would you get the mark if you gave your opinion on your friends? Because it's saying to give your opinion on friends in general. I wasn't quite sure. You probably would, to be honest. But yeah, again, pause me, give it a go, and then I'll go through what I wrote. Ok, je vais vous montrer. I'm going to show you now. Voilà, j'ai écrit, I've written, sur la photo, il y a 4 ados, 4 teenagers. On the vocab list, it says adolescent, but we can shorten adolescent to ado, and it's easier to spell. 2 filles et 2 garçons. Didn't have to do that. 4 ados would have been fine. Just gave a little bit of extra detail there. Qui regarde un portable? Who are looking at a phone? Okay. I could have... Some of you might have wanted to say who are sitting on a bench. Well, do you know how to say who are sitting? No, and it's quite complicated. Do you know how to say on a bench? Probably not. Don't say it. Just say they're looking at a phone. Je pense qu'ils sont au parc. I said I think that they're at the park. No idea really. I wasn't sure. Is it a stadium? Is it school? Wasn't sure, but because I said je pense qu'ils sont au parc, I think that they're at the park. That's fine because I'm giving my opinion. If I'd said je pense qu'ils sont à la plage, that would have been a bit rogue because they don't really look like they're at the beach at all. Il y a aussi un vélo. There is also a bike. Again, you do not need to include that. But if I saw that and thought, oh, I know how to say bike, I can show off a bit here, I might add it. Okay. Ils semblent intéressés. They seem interested. Moi, j'adore les amis parce qu'ils sont amusants. Me, I love friends because they're fun. Okay. Almost pains me to say it. Sounds a bit simple, but that will get you the mark. So just write it. Okay, and a final one. This time I am not giving you the Palmo to help. So I want you to make sure you're not looking at your notes for this one and give it a go. You will have to think about when you're doing the action, they're shopping, aren't they? And in French, they say to do shopping. So really quickly, have a look at that vocab list you might have taken a photo of, and have a look at how to say they do shopping. Okay. It's ils font du shopping, F-O-N-T, if you couldn't be bothered to look. Yeah, so press pause and give this a go. See if you can do it in 5 minutes. Right, let's go through that together then. So this is what I wrote. Sur la photo, il y a un homme et une femme. On the photo, there is a man and a woman. Qui, who, font du shopping, who do some shopping. Remember, we can't say who are doing shopping in French. It's just who do some shopping. Font comes from the verb faire. Looks quite different to it. There's no ENT in this one because it's irregular. So yeah, font du shopping. Have a look at all the other faire phrases to help you in case you need to use those for the action part of Palme. I'll start again, apologies. Sur la photo, il y a un homme et une femme qui font du shopping. Je pense qu'ils sont au centre commercial. Ils semblent contents. Moi, j'adore le shopping parce que c'est amusant. On the photo, there is a man and a woman who are doing some shopping. I think that they are at the shopping centre. They seem happy. Me, I love shopping because it's fun. Et voilà. So if you just really learn that vocab on the vocab list, and the best way you're going to learn it is by describing different photos, guys. Find some images on Google Images, put it into practice, get to the point where you're hiding your sheet and not using it. You can get 12 out of 12 on that question, 20% of the writing exam done in 5 minutes. Then you can concentrate on the rest. Mwah, merci beaucoup, bonne chance.